Good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. That's right. You're watching CSHR Random Happenings right here from the bunker, 753 feet below the Capitol building of Louisiana. Coming at you live right here on Facebook after one hell of a horrible debate last night between our two presidential candidates. Joining me tonight is Mr. Harshmed and His Unholiness, Mr. Max, Too Unholy, from the Unholy Tea, and Harshmed from the Harsh Reality with Harshmed. How are you guys tonight?
Max, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna let you go first.
All right, so welcome to the show, everybody. Tonight we have two of my favorite people. Well, one of them's my favorite people. The other may be my favorite. Max, His Unholiness. We got him just chilling. And of course, we got the Bayou Bowser himself, Scott Ryan, Christopher Nicholas Sonnier.
With this freshly trimmed beard.
And a new camera. Hey, how about
No,
that?
it's not a new, it's the same camera. It just works now. I finally fixed it.
So, welcome to the show, everybody. How y'all doing on this beautiful Friday? And let's get down to it, because I know Mr. Sonnier wants to get on, talk about the debate. So,
Well, I didn't say I wanted to. I was like, it's almost like a necessity now at this point. I mean, last night, if you watched the debate, and it was probably the most brutal slaughter I've seen in a long time in a political campaign. I mean, we had Mr. Orange Man who just basically spewed out lies the entire time, and then the dementia patient who didn't even know where he was. It's he says they're going to charge Trump with elderly abuse after that. Because that's my job, hobo. Why did you watch the debate to begin with? Because that's what I'm supposed to do.
I didn't watch it live. I went back and watched the replay after Scott started saying stuff about it. That was funny.
yeah, I can only watch like 5 minutes of it. It was that bad. When I heard
It was funny.
Biden crying about Trump would politically starting to arrest his political opponents. I'm like, what? Are you really? You're gaslighting people with that when you yourself are doing it? Come on.
There was a lot of gaffes from Mr. Biden last night. One of the main ones was him saying, we finally beat Medicare. And then Trump responded with, yes, you did. You beat it into the ground. Donald Trump at one point told Biden, I really wish you were a great president. I wouldn't even be here right now. I'd be sitting in one of my properties enjoying myself. That pretty much summed up how this election is going to be. Biden stumbled through pretty much every question he was asked. He was very hoarse, and he was not all there. He had this... If you looked at some of the pictures of Biden while he was on stage, it looked like nobody was home. It was really bad.
Go back to the very beginning when Biden walked out. That man looked like a zombie.
He did.
Walking out. That was.
And where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? Because how is the DNC going to replace this man and be credible after 2 years of saying that he's sharp as a tack, that he's all there, he's a beast, with his leadership and everything else? How do you recover from that? How do you place a nominated candidate in that spot now and actually have the credibility to move forward?
They won't.
Listen, there's no replacing him. It's too late in the game. It's too late. It's too late in the dog and pony show to throw a substitution in the game. It really is.
I have no doubt after. Okay. So last night after the debate, I was sitting in this office right here where I'm at right now, taking notes. The funniest thing was watching all of the wires light up. And as the wires would light up, the liberal media outlets literally shunned President Biden last night.
Well, here's the
There
thing.
is no amount of damage control now at this point that's going to help him.
Here's the thing, though. The Democrats, knowing how they are, because, you know, this is all a dog and pony show and none of this matters anyway in the long run. What they're going to do is they're just going to, you know, punt on 2024, have all the crap thrown at Biden, talk about how he's horrible and everything else, and then in 2028, when they're going to have like their good canon nominees or their really good nominees show up, be like, oh well, you know, we're so much better than what we had before, and then, you know, make themselves look great. And FYI, the DNC, you know, has a much better fundraising years, financial quarters, and you know, years when Trump's in office and when he's not in office.
And, you know, there was a lot that was said last night. Biden may bring up the fact that Trump's which, to be fair, if you look at a lot of that case, and I'm not a Trump supporter by any way, shape, or form, but after last night, I mean, this is going to be really bad. You know, he brought up the fact that Trump's a convicted felon. Yes, he did get convicted in New York. But the way that whole case is looking now, that entire conviction is going to be overturned by the New York State Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the rulings in that case was unconstitutional. You know, this is going to be very hairy. I mean, Trump came up with just as many lies as he always does. But then Biden, not knowing what he was talking about, Biden at one point said that no troops died during his presidency, which we all know is wrong. I mean, we all watched Afghanistan, the pullout from Afghanistan. We all watched as 13 troops died there. We all watched as thousands of Americans got left behind. Some of them are still trying to get home. You know, I mean, it's like he's disconnected from reality. Yeah. I didn't realize how bad it was until last night. I mean, yeah, he just makes gaffes and stuff like that, but sometimes you can be of sound mind and make a gaffe. I mean, it's normal. That's just human tendency. But to be so disconnected from the reality of this country right now is just utterly ridiculous to me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's a mess. No,
you're right. Hobo, you are right. This isn't the lesser of two evils anymore.
Right. Oh, and he also said this whole. Let's go to Hoey first. Biden said, "I don't care if it's been debunked. You said it." LOL. Like what? Agreed. Hoey and High 2024.
Yes, I agree with that. No, what Hoey's referring to right here, and I know exactly what he's talking about. What Hoey's referring to, well, actually there was two of them that was debunked, but this is one of them, was when he said that Trump was overseas during the Normandy celebrations and was looking at a cemetery or some sort and said that they're nothing but a bunch of suckers and losers. Okay, he never said that. There was 19 people there with him that all said the exact same thing, that he never said anything of that nature, period. Biden was like it was a 4-star general. And Trump said, yes, I know exactly who you're talking about because I fired him before he said that. He said it to get back at me. Right. You know, Biden also made the comment that the reason he was running was because of the Charlottesville incident. That's already been debunked several times. Even his own wife said it was debunked. Right. And then Biden doubled down on it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the only reason he's running, then why the heck did he run in 1988 and 2008 for president? That makes no sense.
This is nasty. It's doing more than just slipping, Hobo. It's doing a lot more than just slipping now at this point. It's not slipping, it's falling apart.
Both overpaid. But I do. But I kind of like the quote that Hobo said earlier. He brought the general up at his rally today too. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Always. But I kind of like the second quote he said earlier when he said, like, the question is, the better why the DNC parade is better candidate. No, not that part, but it's like it is beyond obvious the whole system is a. Yeah, that's true. But my question is, how is it that everyone talks about how bad the system is, and then everyone still partakes in it? If you work and pay taxes, you're partaking in the system, whether
Exactly.
you like it or not. Like, you can't say, "Well, I don't vote," but you work and pay taxes. Well, that's not really much of a difference. It does need to fall
Hey,
apart.
hey,
It needed to
hey,
fall
hey,
apart
hey.
yesterday.
Yo, Negro here ain't got a choice. Child support on my neck.
No, that is that is true.
I'm just saying, like, don't listen.
No, that was more of a comment toward Hobo than you, but I get what you're saying.
High End Hobo says the facade needs the
The facade.
facade. Sorry,
Oh my God.
When it comes
Really?
to that, I think
it's been a
whole-
long day. Okay, the facade needs to fall apart.
I mean, when you think about it, I mean, like, maybe I just got a realist view. No matter what you're doing, it ain't no way for you to be here and Uncle Sam not get a piece of it.
Yeah.
Dead honest. That's I don't care what. To me, in my views personally,
Yeah.
I don't care what political affiliation
No.
you got. None of that. At the end of the day, no matter what your affiliation is, who you vote for, if you vote, if you don't vote, either way, Uncle Sam gonna get their piece of the pie. Or your
No.
pie.
It is true. There's only three types of people that can get away with Uncle Sam, or get away with avoiding Uncle Sam: the homeless, the super wealthy,
No,
and the people
no,
who've gone through the
no,
process.
no,
That's it.
no. The super wealthy, they get hit. They don't get hit as hard as lower class, but they got to pay under Caesar.
Depends how they structure
The
the.
homeless, no. Like, dead honest, it's crazy that you bring that up. So while I was dealing with
Yeah.
that traffic stop today, I hear a call come in over the radio. Somebody called the police on somebody that was homeless being in the area. So no, the homeless don't get away with that. Don't end up not having to pay into Uncle Sam.
Well,
Like, they getting arrested and having to go. And granted, for some of them, okay, they're homeless or at least it's somewhere warm when it's bad out. But still, they end up in jails and stuff.
Regardless, but here's the thing: when it comes to this, I mean, we all had the suspicion that Biden was not, well off enough to be in office. I mean, we all had that suspicion. Last night pretty much cemented it for me. Okay, now we have. You can't say it's lesser of two evils now. If Biden stays as the Democratic nominee, Trump will win the presidency at this point.
There's
The CNN poll that was ran last night after the debate, Biden had a 38% approval rating. Trump had 34, and Trump had 68%. Well, okay, bye, Harsh.
I got 2 points.
And Harsh must be having technical difficulties.
One, there's it's too late in the game to like put somebody else in as a presidential candidate. It's way too late in the game. But for two, right this second, I agree with you. It looks like, yeah, buddy, but we still over 120 days from an election date. That's plenty of time because public opinion sways
We're
like
at
that.
roughly 130 days.
But,
all right, what happened, Harsh? You had a issue over there?
Yeah, the router's being stupid as usual.
Public.
You see this comment right here? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt y'all, but look at this comment right here. He was full of meds today. He was way more energetic. I seen some of Biden rally over lunch. Well, you see, and this is the problem because during his State of the Union speech, he was the same way. And then last night, he comes out as a bumbling idiot. And the first thing that his camp says is, oh, well, he has a cold. Well, why didn't you say that before the debate? Why would you wait until after the debate and he brings up this horrible performance then say, oh, well, he had a cold. And now today he's all of a sudden back to Super Biden? I mean, come on.
That makes no sense. But yeah, no, I agree with how I ended it. Voting is more problematic than not. This is system putting Trump in power. No, why would the Fakasha need to fall apart? Then you don't have anything.
What the
No,
fuck is
that's
the
not how that
Fakasha?
works. You don't know. That's not good.
That's the Fosatia.
What is it?
Hunter brought him that Ukraine cocaine. That was a statement last night as well, because Trump actually told him, he goes, you know, Zelensky's the best salesman in the world. Every time he comes to the United States, he leaves with $60 billion.
No, but yeah.
Pure cocaine. Pure
yeah,
cocaine.
Yeah. Hey, but Max, my point being is like, I was talking about, I mean, don't get me wrong, the homeless do suffer a lot, and they suffer. What I was saying in regards to the sovereignty thing is the homeless that don't get arrested for whatever, they get away because they're not paying taxes or anything, which is good for them. So, I have no issues with that.
They're not paying taxes and they're like barely surviving too. They don't have money.
No, that's obviously horrific. That goes.
There were several topics that were brought up last night. One of them was the border, which I mean, Trump absolutely just brutalized the man over the border. He was trying to say that no criminals or terrorists were coming across the border, and Trump's like, what about the 3 women that just died recently at the hands of illegal immigrants?
America was founded by infringing upon borders. Like, I just feel like that's a big topic. Like, how can we even and I get it. I get the concept of like coming here quote unquote legally, but honestly, I'm starting to feel like screw that. It'd be like I was born here and America then legally took my passport and told me I can't go nowhere because I got kids and I owe a debt for them.
Yeah, that's messed up.
So I kind of look at like that whole legal immigration thing like that's a crock of hogwash.
Well, I mean, I think the reason people are complaining about it is because of like the sanctuary cities issue. But that being said, you are right. I mean, America was built based on them illegally crossing other nations' borders. I mean, half of America used to be part of Mexico. So who the hell crossed who?
Like when you like think about it, like it was mixed over here. It was French territory over here, and we just everybody up out of here and just took over here.
Yeah, I mean, even Middle America, a lot of that was French territory, like you said.
I think that's kind of hypocritical on America part. Just saying.
No, it is absolutely. But to go back to how screwed up the system is, the fact that someone has to be poor and destitute to have quote unquote any sort of freedom just shows you how messed up everything is. I mean, that's just.
Nah, what do you mean? Okay, hold on. Let me grab a cigarette, and then I want you to explain what you mean by a comment.
All right. Yeah. Nah. What? What are you thinking? All right, and while we are on delay, let me just go to solo layout for a second. Hunter brought him that Ukraine. No, I mean, no, that is true. I mean, at the end of the day, Trump's part of the same system. But it does bring me back to what I said earlier about the sovereignty thing and the systems. Like, I mean, it's kind of messed up that the ones who have the most freedom, not that it's anything special, are the ones that are either A, homeless, or B, sovereign, or C, structurally went through the sovereign process, which takes forever to do, and C, the ones who are super wealthy who just have their money placed in other things where they never really get touched.
Joining us on the hotline right now is Mr. High-End Hobo. He called into the station and wanted to voice some of his opinions. Go ahead, Mr. Hobo. What do you have to say?
Gotta ask you for this.
Well, I kind of lost track of the conversation calling in because I could only get audio on the call, and then it dropped to Facebook. So are we still talking debate?
Yes. Yes, we're still talking about the debate.
Harsh, what have you guys been talking about the last 2 minutes?
Well, I was talking about how the system's so messed up that the people who have the quote-unquote most freedom are the ones who are suffering the most.
I'm not getting audio on his end if he's saying it.
Oh, you can't hear him? Hang on 1 second. Let me fix that
Nope.
for you. How about now? Can you hear him?
Hello there.
Say something.
Hello there.
Can you hear him, Hobo?
Nope.
No?
Send him the stream.
What in the world?
I can only hear you.
You can only hear me. So he doesn't want to talk to you, Harsh, actually. That's
I ended the audio?
I don't think they can hear you. I can hear you. Fine.
I
don't know why they can't hear you.
Hear me.
I can hear him. I hear him.
That's funny.
I can hear
All right,
him.
well, we tried it. Get back to the show. I don't want to be disruptive.
Well, normally we can all hear you. I don't know what's going on now.
I can hear him. And he can't hear us. That's the only difference.
Oh, okay. No, they can hear you. You can't hear them.
Right.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Right. But no, yeah, I was
This is
talking,
kinda
but I brought up a point about how.
If I can't hear what they're saying, because I was asking what they were talking about in the last 2 minutes because I didn't pick up their audio when I was calling in.
Okay, what he's asking is what y'all were talking about the last few minutes because he couldn't hear y'all.
All right, well, I was saying.
And if he says it, then I can't hear what he says. So,
right, so you're going to have to say what I'm about to say. I was talking about how the system is so messed up that the people who have the quote-unquote most freedom are the ones who are suffering and destitute in the first place.
Okay, so what he said is the ones that have the most freedom are the ones that suffered and destitute in the first place.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think the reason why I was motivated to call in is I think, this whole system is a theatrics in a way. And if you really think about it, Trump has been almost like a Palin 2.0, and they, instead of getting 8 years of distraction from Trump, now they've gotten possibly 12. This is to me, indication of the system putting in the most effective distraction in the office, in quote unquote office. But it really begs the question when we talk about the state of our country is who really runs things. And it's funny how we equate our conditions of our life and how things are, economically or otherwise directly to our president when it is most likely usually corporate elite behind the scenes that we don't know who those players are. And it's almost like they're using this whole system as a facade and smokescreen so they can't be identified in a lot of ways. Because it's I remember the first couple of years of Trump in office and seeing how much more corporate power was being kind of exerted. It was very similar to Reagan in the 80s.
Well, I will say it.
I get audio. I can hear them now.
Yeah, I fixed it.
I will say that it's so messed up that we know about the certain family around the world, but we don't know the people who control that. That makes any sense? We know the supposed power players, but not the real ones. If that. Hi, and you still there?
There are various organizations that kind of conflates the ownership from a personal level.
No.
Because it's not the Elon Musks, the Bill Gates, and the Bezos of the world. They're kind of like G League.
Yeah, they're puppets.
And you really.
No, of course they are.
Right, they're puppets.
They are puppets. I mean, that's.
And that's why I was saying I think voting is problematic because it lets you the system know that you think that this is still a legitimate process.
No, I don't vote. But I don't think I voted.
But okay, so if
And
you
we're
don't
not-
vote, though, how can you say that you want to? I mean, you can't fix the problem unless you vote.
But how does voting
You know.
fix the problem?
Well, I think
Because that is your
that's the
voice.
debate right there.
You know.
Well, I mean, especially after what transpired in 2016 and 2020, how can anyone even take this seriously?
That's a good point.
You know, people forgot the fraud case of
And I don't know if
2017 and some of the other things that went on as well. It's like, well, if that's the case, what are we talking about here? I mean, there is a way to, fix the system. The problem is no one wants to do it.
Hoey says unless you do paper ballots with verified ID, it's going to be considered a sham.
Right. And the crazy part is Scott came up with the solution.
I'm on a phone.
A few weeks ago.
Think about it like this.
Well, one of the things
Everybody says fix the system. What if that's a thinking flaw? What if the system isn't broken?
I was about to bring that up, Max.
Dead on. It's like, think about it like this, right? Think about every individual aspect, right? Each one of them interplay with each other. And they interplay with the public. In order for there to be a need for a welfare system, there has to be a poor and impoverished class.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if everybody...
Go
ahead.
There's the original definition of capitalism, which was coined by, I forget the Frenchman's name, in the 1750s. The modern sense of the term, as he defined it, was the creation of a owner class at the expense of the rest of the populace. I've been saying this for the past couple of years, that really when we think of a nation state, it really is the welfare system of the corporate class. By design. That was the original intent of creating the nation states, but we always have this religious, emotional foundation in the sense of patriotism that this is ours, that this was we the people, and all stuff, and it gets used against us to your point, Matt.
Hoey says the career politicians is the problem. Term limits are needed in Congress. And yeah, I agree with you. Because if you limit a president to 8 years, why can't you do that to Congress as well?
I mean, that's a nice gesture.
10 years ago, I thought the VP should have like a third or a 25% veto power or something like that. And I thought that the vice president should have been the second runner-up of the election.
That's how it was.
I mean, it would make it more fair. It would make things more fair, and it would actually cement checks and balances more.
Well, that's how it was in the 1700s when Washington was president.
Okay,
that's how it was. You had the runner-up of the presidency was the vice president. That's how they had.
Getting back to
author on NPR over the weekend, and I think the book was called Minority Rule, and he was talking about some of the 3/5 rules that the smaller states of the Union at the beginning of the country were clamoring for, and that wasn't the original intent. Was almost like by populace, but they thought they were going to get overrun by the more populous states, and they were threatening to secede if they didn't get that. And that's kind of what we've been seeing is the minority rule and the legislative branches,
right,
and key government positions.
Getting back to this term limits thing, I think it ought to go a step further. I think whatever they provide for people who are downtrodden or, need social programs or something like that, as far as like health insurance and stuff like that, that's what they should get. Just because you're a congressman does not mean you deserve the best of the best. If that's the case, then everybody in America deserves the best of the best.
From an economic standpoint, to your point, and kind of to what I was saying about nation states being created as the welfare system of the corporate class, one of the reasons why we have such exponentially expensive healthcare system is because we have government programs in place and a whole industries that are basically there to basically get that biggest piece of the pie from the government possible. It's almost fraudulent.
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw that during COVID. Look at all of the deaths that they wrote off as COVID deaths. You know, when they blatantly weren't. If you got killed in a car accident at one point, they were labeling it a COVID death because they were getting money for every COVID death.
But now, I will say, as someone who dabbles in statistics as my job, the amount of excess deaths beyond the mean was exorbitant. Like, if you did a hypothesis test on it, there was little to no probability that the numbers we were seeing in 2020, 2021, and 2022 based on our year-over-year mortality rates.
Exactly.
I think it was on the order of like 500K excess deaths per
Exactly.
year.
And what I never understood, and I've never had anybody explain this to me, what happened to the flu during 2020?
Well,
Did it take a vacation?
But the problem is that the normal flu, even bad years, you might see 40 to 50K in deaths. It doesn't have 150 to 350 to 400K in deaths. Even the Spanish flu. Now, the thing about it is, I don't know how that would equate with a higher, if you did it by percentage of population. I never really looked at it that way. But I think Spanish flu in America at that time, like the most was like 80K.
Okay.
But I mean, that's also, you're talking pen and pencil. I mean, the difference in data systems. You don't know how accurate that is. There was a world war going on. That was one of the things that exasperated the Spanish flu, was the World War. So it's a hard. But even in, like, I think at the end of Woodstock, I believe there was a flu epidemic, and those numbers still didn't come anywhere close to what we saw with quote unquote CV19er.
Right. And here's another thing. And a lot of people are like, no, they didn't mislabel COVID deaths. I actually witnessed this. I had a friend of mine whose aunt had a full-blown stroke. They watched her face droop, and then she passed away. I mean, it was just that bad of a stroke. And they brought, they did the whole thing, tried to bring her to the hospital, bring her back to life or whatever. And then when they got her death certificate, it was labeled as a COVID-19 death.
And that was, and my girlfriend works in the ER and was working in the ER at San Diego's critical care, top critical care unit in San Diego. So she saw that firsthand.
Right. And the reason for that is because each one of these hospitals were getting money for every COVID death.
They were only getting that for the Medicare participants of the COVID death, not every blanket COVID death. Only the ones that were under Medicare care system.
And that's ridiculous.
They were getting like an excess of, I think, like 20K, I think, per.
And then to have Biden during debate talk about the economy doing a downturn during COVID was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the CDC put lockdowns in place. This man's hands were tied. Everything got shut down. How do you blame someone for something like that?
Well, yeah, and that's a systematic shutdown. That just goes to me, it goes to show that regardless if it's Trump, Obama, Bush, and or Biden, that they don't really have a whole lot of say.
They don't. But the thing is how do you blame the president for that? Because the same thing would have happened if he would have been in office. If Biden would have been in office during that time, it would have happened. If Obama would have been in office, it would have happened. It doesn't matter what president was in, And
that's my point. I think we're all in agreement on the panel on that. So I think the conversation would have been better served than talking about the vaccines, how they got wished through, how they skirted, restrictions, and kind of we still have no idea what the outcome is from those. And we might not ever, much less the source of where all the shit this fucking started from. Pardon my French. I forget I'm on the radio.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We have a 20-second delay on that side, so you're good.
Oh, okay. I got beeped. I need a tattoo that says I got beeped on there.
It's fine. It's fine. Harsh throws a lot of beeps.
I'm in good company then. Well, I was keeping track of some of the VARS data early on, and looking for anomalies, and like they were getting to a point where they were kind of restricting access to some of that data to try to kind of, so you could kind of pin down from a statistical standpoint where some of the critical paths and critical issues were to find correlations. They were kind of doing that also with the mortality data.
From the CSHR radio YouTube page, the only way to shut down the system is to stop contributing to it. In other words, people stop working and people stop paying taxes. The problem is most people aren't willing to have a general strike. Okay, but here's the thing.
Let alone do that. Let alone to go.
Here's the thing. And no. You're right. Because if everybody was to stop going to work for just 1 week, just one, it really doesn't even. It's actually a few days. It doesn't even have to be a full week. It would actually send a huge statement. But the problem is that so many Americans, because of the rate of inflation and everything else that's going on in this country now, are so strapped for money and can't afford life that they literally can't afford to miss those days in order to make something happen. It's either do that and starve.
If we went to a system where our capital was based on food, water, having a roof over our head, things to sustain our well-being.
Yeah, barter system.
Instead of it being about currency, then we wouldn't have as much control. I remember, and I didn't realize this. There used to be a show on Netflix talking about, it was in the Midwest and agricultural communities, and there was the advent of the property tax. And the property tax was almost designed to force those communities to get a bank account in essence, because they needed to have U.S. dollars to pay their property taxes. And many of them got their farms taken away. But if they didn't have to pay property tax, they almost had no use for currency whatsoever.
Yeah.
They would barter amongst their neighbors. It was more of a farmer's market type of economy.
Barter system. Yeah, that would actually.
It was a barter system. Yeah, and they were self-sufficient, and they kind of did the same thing to Native Americans, like with what they did to the buffalo. They took away their capital.
Howie says paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck isn't the American dream I was sold growing up. Well, no, absolutely it wasn't. Absolutely it wasn't. Right. People don't realize since 2020, the price of groceries has increased fourfold. And people saying that the president has nothing to do with it, yes, he has a lot to do with it, because he can put safeguards in place to prevent things like that from happening. Stop trying to not blame yourself. It was literally horrible watching him not acknowledge anything that's going on in the current administration.
Well, in theory, he might be able to do action, but then is he actually being allowed to? Systematically. So I don't know. I don't think anyone knows, but the way things have been, when we see the end results, it's almost like going back to that question about whether or not voting is problematic or not. I'm not going to, if you believe one way or another, what's funny is that no one ever asks themselves if they're actually working against their own sovereign interests while taking the act of voting. It's not to say that they are, but they never have asked themselves and questioned and entertained that possibility.
CSHR Radio on YouTube says the barter system isn't a bad idea. That's as long as greed isn't ruling everything. But okay, well, here's the problem. You're always going to have that. There's always going to be somebody that's fighting for power. There's always going to be somebody that has way more greed than the next person. And you always have someone that's going to sit there and do everything they can to exploit any system that is put in place in order to get ahead over other people.
No, that's correct. But the problem is we don't have greed. We have greed on steroids and every single PED that exists. If we just had even regular levels of greed, we wouldn't even be here. Is what I'm saying. So
I have a question for the panel.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Hobo. Sorry about that.
What do you think Max's and Harsh's outfit would look like in a Mad Max scenario?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to answer that question. I don't know if it could be a good output. I have stuff to do some training.
Would it involve leather chaps?
I hope not.
No.
That's all I can say.
Well, I didn't say assless. Leather chaps.
That's all I can say is I hope
leather
not.
chaps that are not assless? I hope there are. We'd have to invent some before the apocalypse.
Okay, so basically what Hobo is saying right now for Christmas, he's buying Harshmed a pair of assless chaps.
No. That's why.
Did I hear that correctly?
No.
Oh.
And a chainmail halter top.
Yeah, the bottom line is I don't know how people could even wear leather in that weather. That's insane. Anyway.
Look, Hoey, don't point out the obvious. Thank you very much. Hoey says all chaps are assless or they would be pants.
He's such a stereotype. My God. Look at why Hoey's such
He made a comment. That's not stereotypical. That's not a stereotype. Harsh, I'm buying you a dictionary.
I know, but he's always like saying the obvious and then thinking it's clever. It's like, dude, come on. That's such a suburbanite thing to do. That's such a
suburbanite. If that's the case, Hobo's a suburbanite.
No, we're not gonna tell her we're not gonna tell people where he lives. But anyway,
I'm definitely not a suburbanite.
well, I mean, walk it. No, anyway.
That's like middle of nowhere, Louisiana.
Yeah. All right.
Hobo, what town of? Okay, I got a question for High End. What town of Louisiana were you from?
I personally was not from Louisiana, but my mom is from Anacoca in Parish, which is outside of Leesville.
That's north of. That's like northern Louisiana, isn't it?
Yeah, it's southeast or southwest of Alexandria by about an hour, I think.
Okay, so she's from Acadiana.
And so my grandfather helped build Fort Polk, and they've been there since before the Toledo Bend Dam that's on the Sabine River.
Awesome.
And they're just a few miles away from the dam.
I'm just glad you
didn't
say...
My dad is from New Orleans, and he spent also, I think, like middle school and possibly high school in Baton Rouge.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because now you're not too far north where I would have called you a Yankee, and you're not too far east where I would have called you a redneck. So
now I grew up when I wasn't overseas. I was in Houston, but I know that whole stretch between Houston, East Texas, the Lufkin, Jasper, and into Toledo Bend Dam.
Well, that's all Cajuns anyway. I mean, look at Beaumont, Texas.
Well, yeah, and my dad went to Lamar. My grandfather helped. He worked at the Port of Port Arthur and Port of Beaumont. And I also had a couple uncles that were barge captains in Louisiana and Texas.
So, Hobo, what were your thoughts on this debate last night? I know you watched it. So, how are you feeling about this right now?
I did not watch it. I'm getting most of it, the energy from you guys who did. I kind of saw this coming, and it's almost like The other team is not going to show up for the football game, as it were. It's too late in the day. It's almost like a kind of a coup of some sort, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
It might not be a military coup, but it might be a systematic one.
I think it's going to be a political coup. It's really because there was a situation in the spin room shortly after the debate last night. Kamala Harris was scheduled to do an interview with CNN, and after the debate, she literally ghosted them and left. Governor Newsom, who is the rumored
for California.
He's the rumored replacement for Biden right now. If they attempt to replace Biden, everybody's saying it's probably going to be Newsom. He declined to comment on anything and then immediately left. This entire debate is a very, very big black eye on the DNC. Period.
Here's my take on this scenario, and I've talked to Harsh and I's very good friend Jonathan Close about this during the BLM riots right before the election last time. When they don't think the populace is going to show up to the polls, I think the system creates a lot of manufactured consent type incidences to try to get knee-jerk reactions for the populace to go, we got to do something, and we need the government to go solve this. And I think this is one of those times.
So do you think they may try to enact a false flag event just to kind of steer the attention away from the election?
That or something's coming. It's like buckle up, because it's like they need to get. It's like, oh, no one's really paying attention to us. No one's really. They think this is, they're telling us that by not participating, they don't think this is a valid system. We need them to at least check in and let us know that they're paying attention. And this is one of those things. I don't think they're putting Trump, quote unquote, power because they want him in power. The power base is not going to change because it's behind the scenes in the corporate elites that we were talking about earlier. It's just that Trump is such a great distraction and polarizing character, and which distracts from the corporate elites, and that's really what the job's purpose is, in my opinion.
Hoey says about Governor Newsom, and he ran, California broke. LOL, great replacement.
I don't think he's getting. I don't think Biden's getting replaced. He's not getting replaced until after this is over. They're gonna.
But you see, here's the thing: if they don't replace him, Trump's going to win this election.
Right. But I don't think any of their hot candidates, whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or any of them, they think is like worth a damn. They don't want to run against Trump for some reason.
Well, like I said earlier, they've said for 2 years that this man is sharp as a tack. They said for 2 years this man is cognitively able to be president of the United States. Clearly, last night we saw that's not the case. So even if they did replace him, there's that whole issue of credibility. How are you going to replace him and have people believe that this person is the right person to be president? Right. It's not going to happen. They don't have credibility anymore. It's out the window. It's gone.
Yeah, but they're not going to replace him anyway. They're going to take a punt. They're going to take the L and punt for 2028, and then I'll have to deal with it.
So if we had the Biden from 2020 and that person running against Trump, how do we feel the voter turnout would be compared to what we saw when we see the situation as to where, oh my God, Trump might be president again?
I think the turnout is going to be different because what happened was after Trump was convicted with all those felonies, he literally, and since then, has raised several $100 million. His supporters are rallying behind him. And after last night, we watched literally on CNN of all channels, because, CNN is traditionally liberal. I don't really care what you say about it. Whatever news source you watch, CNN is a liberal news source. But we watched those poll numbers literally free fall. Biden is at 34% approval right now. and now Trump is at 68%.
Well,
And I think that's by design. And to be honest with you, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that you're seeing all these lawsuits that could have happened 2 years ago for Trump happening this year.
No, that's true too. But but I mean, I know this doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things but for day-to-day people, or for day-to-day things, a lot of people are thinking, well, you know, as much of a clown as Trump was, my day-to-day expenses were cheaper. Gas was cheaper, groceries were cheaper, quality of life was better. You know, therefore, compared to what it is now, therefore, you know, these are people who voted for Biden in 2020 that are saying that about how much they miss Trump. So I think it's going to be completely the other way, just based on day-to-day stuff. Now, as you know how the system works, you know, everyone needs to hear, oh, that just, you know. Right. So that's...
That and also equating the stock market to the real world economy, when we've also seen that correlation falter as well.
Right.
What's good for corporate America and what's good for the stock market isn't always good for your everyday American.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not. And I really hate to say it's very horrible that they use that as a gauge as to how the economy is doing.
Right.
Because the stock market could rally tomorrow, but inflation's still there. You still have people starving half to death because they can't afford food. You have people that are, I mean, the homeless...
I have a funny thought about inflation. But working for Boeing, I came to realize there's a great possibility that most of your Fortune 500 companies are making more money from selling stock than they are selling airplanes or whatever their core product or service is.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm wondering, it's funny. It's funny because it's like, if we're so much trillion in debt, how much really are we in debt when you adjust it for inflation?
Right. That is true, too.
Yeah.
No, that's true, too. 'Cause I remember a decade ago, GM used to buy back their own shares just to raise this value of their stock.
Oh, he said they've thrown everything at Trump but bullets, sad to say. And last night, Trump really made that entire conviction on his plate look like it was just to stop him from running against Biden. I mean, he just flat out made it look that way. And he even said it. The only reason y'all had me convicted was to keep me from running against you.
And there might be some truth to that, but what I always love is that side's narrative that Trump is led from the system.
Oh, exactly. but here's the problem. If you look at it from the outside, you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
So if you're just a normal American that doesn't know any better, that doesn't know the backstories of all of these cases and lawsuits and everything else under the sun, you're going to look at that and go, okay, yeah, they just did that to Trump to keep him out of office.
Right.
And who do you think that person's going to vote for? They're not going to vote for Biden. You know?
They're going to vote for Mondale.
He's still alive for him, yeah.
And here's another
thing. Is Mondale even still alive?
I'm going to look that up right now.
When Trump said, and I mean, this is just the worst slap in the face for Biden last night. Yeah, well, the worst case, this was the worst slap in the face for Biden last night, was when Trump sat there and said, I really wish you were a great president because I wouldn't even be here right now. I would be in one of my places enjoying myself. You know, I mean, oh Lord. Walter Mondale.
That's for high end. He died 3 years ago.
Well, then he'd probably be a better president. Especially than over the one we have now.
He might be more on the point. He might be able to answer these questions better.
Oh my
right.
God, yeah.
I bet you he can give a better speech than Joe Biden did. So Super Biden made an appearance at his rally today. The same Biden that threw out his State of the Union address, which is now making people question whether they're giving Biden drugs to make him more coherent.
I'm telling you, the way we do this is we make Weekend at Bernie's 3 with Biden as Bernie.
Yes.
That would be
And
hilarious. That's perfect.
that's the campaign, and that's how we win. I bet you we could get a lot of pull. We had a lot of fun doing it, but it's either that or we're going LaRouche 2024.
So, Hobo, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think they're going to try to replace him, or do you think they're going to leave him in there and just watch Trump win by a landslide?
I think they're going to leave him in there and watch Trump win by a landslide.
Yeah.
I think it's by design.
That's the only thing they can do at this point, because none of the promising candidates they have want to go against Trump. They don't want to deal with them. They want to bypass this and look like, the savior of the Democrats 4 years from now.
And to top it off, Trump's vice president hopeful is a congressman from Ohio, which is a Gen Xer. So he's going to wind up pulling that generation with him.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, if I'm going to go X-Files with this, and I have to be very careful with what I say here, they could do a situation where Biden isn't with us anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's an emotional reaction to change.
That would be the I almost have to agree with you on that. I can almost see that happening. Because that would be the knee-jerk reaction.
That's the crazy possibility.
Yeah, that would set up Kamala Harris to be the front runner for the Democratic nomination, and it would literally change the scope of the election. But here's the thing: Kamala Harris has tons of baggage with her.
Well, she also got zero. The last time she ran for president in the primary, she got 0 votes. So
but here's the thing: she does have, as vice president, if something like that happens to Biden and the DNC decides to nominate someone different, she does have legal standing to challenge that nomination at that point. Why? Because she's the vice president. She would be the next in line to run for president if something was to happen to Biden.
Right.
So
I think she's like the equivalent of Dan Quayle when it comes to like her political influence.
She
and
is.
Power. I think she has less political power now than before she became vice president.
I would agree with you, especially after those videos of her being the second woman on Montel Williams' arm on the red carpet a few years before she became vice president.
No, but she had that before, because like I said, in the 2020 DNC primary when she ran for office, she won 0 delegates. She didn't get any votes. Like, she was that unpopular even in Democrat circles, let alone with the general public. So she's got
no. And Hoey says insert Hillary. Here's the thing: Hillary has no shot at this whatsoever. The people the people have lost all faith in the Clintons.
If Hillary wanted to be president, she would have had Joe Biden assassinated and forced Kamala to resign, and then she would have been president already. That's what would have happened.
Right.
He would have done that. He would have done at least like 2-3 years.
The oddest thing about that camp right now.
To me, Kamala was just window dressing. She was there to kind of do the Obama, like pull the reins of the remnants of the Obama crew.
Well, not only that, she's a person of color.
A functional role in the administration, in my opinion.
She was used in every way, shape, or form because she's a person of color and she's a female.
Right.
And that was the only reason she's where she's at.
Right. Again,
definitely wasn't from her behavior or anything she's done, because then no one would, if they paid attention to that, they would be like, why would we want this person in our leadership?
Right, exactly.
Right, because she has no
reputation here in California.
She has no experience. She has no background. She has she has no sustenance. The only political theater she's ever been in is being vice president of the United States.
Well, that and being Willie Brown's side piece back in the 90s.
Well, yeah, Montel Williams and several others.
Yeah, but Willie Brown is how she got into politics and became prosecutor in the first place. She knew the one. She knew the right one to hawk Tua, and that's why she became a prosecutor. In
Exactly.
California.
She's one of the few that literally sucked her way to the top.
Yeah. And like I
Oh,
said,
hot Tua girl for president. I saw someone make that recommendation. I think that would be amazing.
Actually,
Well, I mean-
she'd probably be a better president than anybody we have on the books because she's got a sense of humor.
yeah. Well, I mean, right now you have the older Hawk Tua lady as VP, so you know, it's the original Hawk Tua lady VP.
The original Hawk too.
The third one, yeah. The third version of it is that girl in Nashville.
Oh, he says she knew the Hawk Tua when it was Gluck Gluck.
Yeah, yes, she did. Like I said, that's the only reason she has any sort of political career in California. She did that to the right mayor at the right time, and that's how she became prosecutor. And then that's how she became senator. A racist prosecutor.
And you know, the scariest part of that is like the general public
Yeah.
doesn't even know about that.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's how she got into power.
No. I know that. But what I'm saying is the general public does not know that.
No, they don't remember that. Well,
They don't know it.
So isn't that one of the core issues for the Hoey Hyde platform is to lower the inflationary cost of hawk Tua?
So that's one of them. Yeah, that is the plan.
$5 Hawk Tuas.
We need caps on hawk Tua. We can't let that go to the free market.
No, we can't.
Good afternoon, Miss Jackie Hyde. How are you?
See, we just had to bring that up.
This is Hoey's
That was a
running.
great segue.
Jackie, if you want to join in, you're more than welcome to it. We're probably cutting here soon. We're actually 2 minutes off mark, but it's okay. We're doing good right now. Run for a little while longer. And the only reason being is because I forgot to restart the programming.
No, that's all good. But, no, that's what it is. But yeah, I mean, I saw Jackie. What do you call it? I saw Jackie learning how to drive yesterday. That was rather cool.
Yes, Jackie, congratulations on that. We hope you get your CDL soon because you're going to have a lot more fun at work whenever you get to drive that big old thing.
Yeah.
Jonathan Close says, "What up, CSHR?" Jonathan, say hello to one of your good buddies, Mr. High-End Hobo, joining us on the phone right now. And here's Miss Hyde.
Johann Klaus.
Exactly. No, but that's what it was. That's what it was, though. You know, I will say, High and I talk a lot about all sorts of topics.
Why is Harsh so quiet?
Well,
He's not. You can't hear him?
Oh, his mic is quiet compared to yours and normal.
Yours is really loud today.
Yeah, that's because I already said what I had to say. You know, no one high end. He's probably more worried about whether or not Fred Van Fleet gets traded than he is what happens in 2024.
Okay, so this is what happened. I was sitting here.
Him being traded, to be honest with you.
I was sitting here just you know, y'all were doing y'all thing. You and Max were talking, and the phone rings. I answered the phone, and the first thing he tells me is I'd like to order a pizza with frog legs. And I was like, Hobo? And he's like, yeah, it's me. I was like, all right, well, hold on. Let me patch you in. We'll put you on the show. Yeah. And then I couldn't get him to patch in, so I had to call him back.
Right. No, but, yeah. I mean, at this point, you're probably more worried about Fred Van Fleet getting traded than you are about, like, the 2024 election, ONU.
Honestly, I can't hear her with the crap.
I think he should be traded because I think the Rockets right now are overestimating, I think, their potential in the next 2 years.
I'll tell you what.
I think they have some core issues.
I'll tell you what. We'll trade you Zach LaVine for Fred Van Fleet. How does that sound?
Is he going to come with a wheelchair?
Yes.
Wait, hold on now. Don't start chastising disabled people, okay?
No.
That's going to be that's offensive to me.
He makes $40 million a year. He gets to be chastised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's an expensive wheelchair.
He's supposed to be like the best shooting guard since Jordan in the Bulls, and he's since Butler, and he's a gift. So yeah, he comes with a wheelchair. So how does that sound? Only catch is
Jackie, you froze on us.
3 more years. How does that work?
Yay, my power is
It
back.
doesn't
Well,
work.
Hoey, I didn't know you were suffering from a blackout. Welcome back.
Well, I know. That's why we're trying to pawn them off on you.
Hoey, is the problem right now that too many people had too many EVs plugged into the grid at one time? Is that why your electricity went out?
Yes. Knowing Hoey, that's probably the case.
So, Hobo, where are you at now? You're in Texas, right?
No. He's not in
Oh,
Texas.
well.
No, I'm in Long Beach, California.
Right. No, but he has spent a lot of time in Texas. All right. So you're saying no to Zach Levine then?
Yes, I'm saying no to Zach Levine. We'd be racing Zach.
He's only
But right now we have like too many guards.
No, that is true. That is true. So do
Can
we.
we-
That's why I brought up the trade. We have too many cards too. Zach Levine is literally cock.
Can we get Jonathan Close to be the center? Can we get him to be the backup center to Operation Shingun?
Jonathan. So what is he going to do? Just like stand there and hope nobody hits him? Is that how that's going to work?
Oh no, Jonathan has magic. He's the Duke of Yuma, and he has royal authority. And he's like, "Nah, this is my zone. This is my kingdom, and I'm going to defend it with my life."
Yeah,
he has street cred.
He does.
He has
street cred. He has all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so wait. So you said who's the backup center?
Jonathan Close.
Okay, yeah.
Jonathan Close is going to be the backup center for the Rockets.
Absolutely, yeah. He'd be better than Mutombo was. So as a backup center for the Rockets. I'll play in the midget league. Where
Jonathan, if you go to CSHR-radio.com, look at the cover page.
Yeah.
That's courtesy of High End Hobo.
Yeah. I miss doing shows with Jonathan. Those shows used to be so cool. Like him and I would just take turns reading novels and telling people, "Hey, this could be real life if you."
Yeah, y'all did Lord of the Flies. Well, I think we did. Did y'all just finish that, or did y'all kind of get stuck 2/3 of the way through?
We finished Lord of the Flies. It was just when that one weirdo from Buffalo was on with us at the final part of the book.
Whenever they sat there and was reading books, that's when I didn't pay attention to those shows.
Right.
Well, Jonathan has a major in that.
I had to read all of that crap in high school.
And he does stage acting. I think what needs to be happen, Harsh, is that you and Jonathan need to go on and do a choose your own adventure read through.
Yeah, we do. We really do, because the last time we had a lot of fun with that was when we did Fahrenheit 451 and we started making fun of all the Karens.
Bedtime stories with Harsh.
We used to read literature. I tried doing that with
okay. So look, let's go back to this. Hobo, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna find Harsh like these smutty romance novels to read.
Nah.
And then you can
Fabio, or wherever that dude was with the hair.
Yeah, there you go. That or 50 Shades of Grey. He could read that at late night, and we'll get all the women following the page. That's how we do that.
We are really desperate.
Well, the best way to get women to follow the page is to get Harsh to do karaoke.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jonathan Close says, act out the 50 Shades of Grey book with sock puppets.
Oh, my God. No, but I will say, I do miss doing shows with Jonathan when it comes to that. When it comes to doing the shows we did, especially with Fahrenheit 451 and some of the other novels. Jonathan says, "No, I'm straight to play center field for the White Sox. If you do that, you're gonna have more injury issues than Scott. We already have one injury-ridden center fielder. You don't want to be another one. Trust me."
I love how he just exploits my disabilities. He just exploits me.
Well, Andrew
Wilson, who was the Cajun chef. We should do a read-through of one of the cookbooks.
Yes, we should. We need to do something like that. That'll at least. We need to have Professor Faye come on the show Monday so we could read all sorts of goofy novels.
We'll have a special
So Scott,
edition.
before Harsh partnered up for you, and we were talking about ideas, for Harsh to do other live casts, and this was he was kind of he was so tired of politics at the time. I recommended he did his own version of live cast talk soup.
Oh yeah,
Instead of soap operas throughout the day and talk shows, he'd be doing like a talk soup rendition of all our friends' live casts. Because at the time there was like 50 people trying to become live cast famous.
Right.
Well, normally we don't do the political stuff. Normally it's just random whatever's on our mind that day. But after last night, after last night, we had to talk about that because that was just a brutal murder last night.
Why we had to talk about it? Because I think, and this is happening in my work right now with some stuff going on, and we're tag teaming and talking to each other, and it was like, did I imagine that? And like, no, that was cray cray. Like, you almost need that confirmation. Like, okay, that wasn't just me, that was cray cray.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically what we're doing right now, is processing that.
Yeah, it's the wires last night were crazy. AP was reporting that Democrats were freaking out all over the country. CNN was reporting that they wanted that the DNC was actually considering replacing him after last night's performance. There's the news wires, and it's still coming through like that. New York Post posted several articles last night about how bad the debate was. RPT was throwing out a ton of headlines. AP was throwing out a ton of headlines. The media literally dropped him. And that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never watched a media, especially one that's been building him up for so long, just up and drop him.
I have a thought on that topic, because you just bring up a point. You know how, like, when the convictions came for Trump a few weeks ago, and there's some of his supporters that just doubled down. And you know that, and he's even said it back in 2015, he could unalive somebody in the street and he would get more support. I wonder if this is like the system trying to test the DNC's ability to do the same thing, their version of it. How much of that support group and on that side of the political divide is going to double down and not talk about the elephant in the room.
Right. And Biden even tried to set him up last night to make him talk about his case, even with the gag order in place.
Now speaking of politics and pop culture and all that, high end, if we were to do a live stream version of Talk Soup, will we do a Talk Soup based on the group chats that Scott's in? Or will we do a Talk Soup based on like some of the old live streamers that are kind of...
If we do it based on the group chats that I'm in, it would be very boring.
I'm talking about
that would be a lawsuit, I think. I think we'd have to do it with the live cast community. Because there was some right material in that, and there was some. When Ty was in his heyday, some of those fights were entertaining, to say the least. You could have done like a wrestling referee of that, whatever happened down after the fact.
Last night my girl even said something about, this would be even better to watch if this was like Celebrity Deathmatch, Trump versus Biden. This is more than crazy now at this point. We're going to give a free shout out to one of our hopefully soon to be sponsors, Wild Side Smoke Shop. They have a free pipe Friday every Friday at 6 p.m. They're located out there at 3151 College Drive. Awesome people. Very, very awesome people. If you're in the local area and you're listening now, go check them out. Go check them out. They have a lot of products over there. They have, of course, they have CBD. They're a licensed hemp store. So they have a lot of different products over there. A lot of good products. So go give them a holler. Go get you a free pipe. Every Friday they have that drawing at 6 p.m.
Not to mention, College Drive probably represents 90% of Baton Rouge economy.
Wait, say that again?
I'm saying College Drive probably represents 90% of Baton Rouge's economy.
Yeah, at one time, yes, but not anymore. I promise you. College Drive is getting almost as bad as Sherwood Forest. It's
Okay.
it's getting pretty rough out there. But anyway, that is a good, safe place to visit. So don't take what I said in the wrong way. Here, we want them as a sponsor, so we're going to down the street there, Daryl. No, we don't want to do that.
But no, I really enjoy some of the shows Professor of Fate and I did back in the day when it came to literature. So. All right. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
All right. So yeah,
I
you
can.
would enjoy some of the shows that Professor Fate and I did back in the day. You actually would. Even though you have the attention span of a monkey. Anyhow, this has been another edition Friday Night Random Happenings at CSHR Radio. We thank Max for holding us, Cayenne Hobo, and of course, Scott Sonnier for tonight's show. This is Cars Med on our views. I like the cars don't to live. Wish everyone have a great rest of your beautiful Friday night.
Stick around, Hobo. We're not cutting completely off. We'll be live for a little while.
Roger.